The saber-toothed tiger was never a tiger. Its real name was Smilodon, and it belongs to a completely separate branch of the cat family called Machairodontinae, a lineage that split from modern cats millions of years before lions or tigers even existed. So comparing it to a tiger is like comparing a dolphin to a fish. There were actually three species of Smilodon. The biggest, Smilodon populator, could weigh up to 400 kilograms. That's heavier than a modern lion and tiger combined. It lived across North and South America. Fossil evidence dates it back 1.8 million years. Now the teeth, because that's what everyone asks about. The canines could reach 28 centimeters in the largest species. But here's the thing most people get wrong. They weren't for biting and clamping like modern big cats do. The teeth were actually surprisingly fragile. If a Smilodon bit down on bone, they'd crack. So how did it kill? Its forelimbs were extremely powerful, stronger than a modern lion's, and scientists now believe it used those to pin prey down. Here's where it gets interesting. At the La Brea Tar Pits in Los Angeles, basically the best Ice Age fossil site in the world, paleontologists have pulled out tens of thousands of Smilodon bones, and a significant number of those bones show something unexpected. Healed injuries, severe ones, crushed vertebrae, shattered limbs, damage so serious the animal couldn't have hunted or even moved properly for weeks or months. But the bones healed, which means these animals survived their injuries. A solitary predator with that level of injury just dies. It can't hunt, it can't feed itself. The conclusion? Other Smilodon brought food to them. This animal almost certainly lived in social groups and took care of its injured members. To understand why it went extinct, you need to understand what its world looked like. The Ice Age Americas were stacked with megafauna, giant ground sloths the size of elephants, mastodons, ancient camels and horses, giant bison, woolly mammoths. Smilodon's entire body was engineered for these animals. Big prey, thick hide, massive bulk. It was a specialist, meaning it was incredibly good at one thing, and that one thing only. That matters a lot for what comes next. Around 12,000 years ago, the Ice Age started ending. Temperatures rose, glaciers melted, and the open grasslands that supported all these giant animals began shrinking. The megafauna populations started crashing. Now, the obvious assumption is less prey. Smilodon starves, goes extinct. Simple. Except scientists actually tested this. A team used a technique called dental microwear texture analysis. They looked at the microscopic wear patterns on Smilodon teeth across fossils spanning 35,000 years to 11,500 years ago. If an animal is starving, it starts eating things it normally wouldn't, gnawing on bones, scraping carcasses down to nothing. That leaves a very specific pattern on teeth. Smilodon's teeth showed none of that. Right up until the very end, the wear patterns were normal. The food was still there. So it wasn't starvation. Here's where humans come in. Around 13,000 years ago, the first humans crossed into the Americas via the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia. They spread fast. Within a few thousand years, they'd reached the tip of South America. And they brought coordinated hunting. These weren't scattered individuals. They hunted in groups, used tools, drove herds off cliffs. And they went after the exact same animals Smilodon depended on. Within a geologically short window, North and South America lost over 70% of large mammal species. Mastodons, ground sloths, ancient horses, wiped out or critically reduced. Smilodon didn't starve because prey ran out completely. It starved because there weren't enough mammoths left to feed a species that needed mammoths. And being a specialist, it had no fallback. It couldn't just switch to rabbits. Its whole body was built for something that was disappearing. 10,000 years ago, a Smilodon took its last breath. It was the most formidable predator that ever stalked this continent, yet it died alone, quietly. That's the last confirmed trace we have of Smilodon, in form of a 10,000 years old fossil.